shorter, and if one of your home projects includes painting, you're in luck. Joining us this morning are Steve and Michael Rose from CertaPro Painters. Guys, thanks so much for being with us.
Of course.
Well, where do we start? I would think some people, there's got to be a difference between people who want to do it, and maybe sometimes you need to hire a pro like yourselves, right? Yeah. Where do we start, Michael?
Well, some of those things you need to look at are the size of the project. You need to look at, you're looking at doing a weekend project typically. Something like that is going to be 1 or 2 rooms. Probably not looking at getting into a kitchen or a bathroom. You also need to look at some of the safety hazards. If you're scared of getting up on a ladder or falling down, there's always accidents that are capable of happening like that. You also need to look at some of the environmental hazards.
With respect to the environmental hazards, Mike, one of the hot spots right now is the lead paint issue. Congress recently passed legislation in April of 2010 that requires houses with lead paint have special handling, and it requires a certified renovator, is what they call it. The concern over lead paint is really focused for the consumer on houses that have been made prior to 1978. If your house was made prior to 78, there's a good chance there's lead paint in there.
And that's something that you don't want to try really to handle yourself. You want to bring somebody in.
That's exactly right. In fact, the federal government has said that, and the EPA is enforcing that you want a certified renovator, and they've got to be specially trained, go through some training course, and typically your local professional is going to have someone on staff like that, as we do.
As you do. All right, well, let's talk about what we're going to do today. Guys, this is a little example of some of the things that maybe people don't want to get into, but things that need to be done prepping to do some painting.
Sure. Before you get started, you need to prepare the whole room. Not even just the surface that you're going to paint. You need to make sure that you're going to move all the furniture into the middle of the room. Put plastic covering over that to make sure none of that gets any paint on it. Then we go to the surface, getting that prepared. We've got a piece here that's got damaged walls. You're going to need to throw mud and spackling on that. This piece right here has the mud and spackling on it already. So the next step you're going to need to do is sand that.
Now, when you're putting on the mud or the spackling, is it more the better, or some people like try to keep it nice and thin? What's your recommendation on how much you put on?
You need to make sure that surface is covered. So these dents, you shouldn't have anything bleeding through with that mud or spackle. So you want to make sure that's nice and covered. You can always go back and sand it down.
So you're sanding it off?
Sanding it off to a flat surface.
After you sand that off, you need to make sure that you wash this and any part of the wall that you're going to be painting.
Because it's dust.
Dust, dirt, all that kind of stuff. So after you've done that to the whole surface, we're going to go over, and you need to make sure that you tape and mask any molding or trim.
Which people don't like to do. Myself included.
These are all the things that people don't think about when they've got to do a painting job. They think you just got to throw up the cone of paint on the wall. These are some of the things you need to do. Taping and masking so you're not getting any paint on the trim.
Because when you think about it, the finished product, it'll be really much nicer than opposed to having, splotches and sprays of paint all over your paneling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't want that. This coat right here is just a primer. You need to make sure that you throw a primer on the wall before you change a color or even putting on a new color or a different color.
Now, I've seen, do they make now, you guys make primer, like it's all kind of in one?
They do. We don't recommend it. It usually doesn't cover as well, and in essence, you're going to have to go back and paint again.
So do the primer, then put on your coat of paint.
The primer is going to make sure that the first and second coats of paint adhere to the wall a little bit better. So you do the first coat. First coat might show a couple brush marks or roll marks if you're putting it on the wall. Make sure and throw a second coat on there to make sure it covers well and you're not seeing any of that.
And Steve, you want to talk a little bit about some stuff from Harmony, right? Is that what we...
Well, actually, the whole category of green. We're going green with the paint manufacturers have really stepped up and addressed consumer concerns over the environmentally safe condition that they're looking for paint. And in essence, they're looking for improved air quality, and they're trying to reduce the volatile organic compounds, shortly named VOCs. And so what that means is they're eliminating a lot of formaldehyde or the solvents in the paint. What that gives the consumer is a paint that's virtually odorless, and it's safe around kids, and you can occupy that building immediately without risk of harm.
And you guys talked about recyclable containers, which is new.
Exactly. That's a big concern right now.
All right, Steve, Michael, thanks guys for being here. We really appreciate it. Great information, especially if you're going to tackle a project this weekend. And it is 8:17 coming up after the break.